Here comes a new challenger!
Hello there everyone and welcome to another Smash Ultimate Analysis. This one we're doing Pit and Dark Pit, and why they are the most hard slept on characters in this entire game. Alright, they deserve more respect. They are so dishonest and honest at the same time, and allow me to explain what I mean. So, I believe it was around the mid patch where these characters were really buffed, and before I start getting into specifics, because I will be mainly using Pit for this video, just know that the core differences between Pit and Dark Pit is arrows. Obviously, Pit can move his around, and therefore it's better for edge guarding, and his side B sends upward, whereas Dark Pit's, you know, you can move them slightly, but definitely not as much, and they're definitely stronger though. They're stronger, and his electroshock arm sends away. So we'll get into that. Alright, so first let's just talk about things that they share and things that I find pretty stupid about them. First, let's talk about their offstage game, because that is something that these characters have. Usually what I see is that not a lot of Ultimate players, even now, people don't really go for edge guards, you know, but these characters can edge guard pretty much for free, be anywhere on the stage, and then recover pretty much from anywhere on the screen. Even if you're attacking someone from like super high, you could always just go for that and still make it back. So generally, when it comes to their offstage gameplay, especially since both Pit and Dark Pit, you know, Pit has the Palatinus bow and Dark Pit has a silver bow, it essentially doesn't mean any difference. But what it does mean is that you have disjoints, and disjoints are great. Now this, you know, I mean, fair isn't really that great, but why use fair when you have a really good nair for offstage play, and you also have a bear, right? So you can basically just throw out hitboxes willy-nilly, and because again it's disjoints, you're likely going to win most interactions if your opponent tries to defend themselves off stage. And well, since you have multiple jumps, you can essentially keep stalling yourself in the air, and then when you need to return back to the ledge, well, your up B is so great in terms of distance covered. Look at that, I was literally at the blast zone and I still made it back. You know, this recovery in terms of distance is pretty great. It may not have a hitbox, but you gotta look at the benefits in this case more so than the negatives. Plus, there is one added, well, stupid thing that I want to talk about right now, actually, being Guardian Orbitars. This is a reflector, right? If you didn't know, is a reflector, right? And as a reflector, it has a few properties. One, you can't hold onto it, it shrinks, and it goes away in a little bit. Another thing is it can break, and when it does break, you'll have to spend some time essentially just recharging it. So, as you see, it broke, and if we try using it, we're not gonna have it for a little bit. You know, for a long bit. Until, there you go. I think that was like around 8 seconds, 8 to 10 seconds. Regardless, you essentially have a mid-air shield that does not really, it can, but it doesn't really cover above and below you, but it covers both of your sides, and it essentially acts as a better shield. Because, again, back to this example here, whatever move you throw at me becomes unbelievably more, either if it's a safe move, it becomes less safe, and if it's an unsafe move on shield, well then now it's even more unsafe. As an example, say a move like, I don't know, like Sephiroth F tilt, as an example. Obviously at max distance, even if you shield it, you can't really punish it, but Pit essentially can. You can't go for any crazy punishes, but you can go from a grab. And the thing about the grab is that this grab game is really good. You know, despite being a swordy, the Pits essentially have really good grab because down throw essentially combos into your aerials combo well into other aerials, and you can always put your opponent in such a bad spot. And not only that, right, not only can you essentially get grab combos off, but because you do have combos off of grab, you could easily force your opponent to, or condition your opponent to try air dodging away or doing something to avoid any attacks, and then you could just punish with, like, say, an F smash for their landing, or whatever the case may be. Right? Another way you can condition your opponent is with arrows. Now for Pit, as you can see here, they don't deal much damage, but the movement they have is great. Obviously, you want to use Pit more so for characters that have, how do I say, pretty ish recoveries. Even characters with good recoveries are going to be annoyed by this, and even if you try avoiding it, well, the opponent can just control it, and it will likely hit you regardless. So yeah, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but in terms of what it can do, it's pretty scary, don't you agree? So, and just to show this off, it goes a pretty fair distance, especially if you charge it, which if you charge it, well, as you can see, there you go, and you can change its direction. You can go from up, left, or right. You cannot aim down, directly down. However, you can make the arrow itself aim down. And yes, the arrow does follow your stick movements, just so you're aware of that. Versus Dark Pit arrows, which, in my opinion, are better for neutral control. So as an example, say a character like Wolf. Wolf has a really good projectile in his blaster, right? Controls space, conditions the opponent. Dark Pit's arrow is essentially just a better Wolf laser. The only thing it doesn't have is Transcendent Priority, but what it does have is good distance covered. It basically covers the entirety of battlefield, right? I believe it actually does cover the entirety of battlefield. Yeah, it does. So you essentially have a projectile that covers the entirety of battlefield, and of course if you charge it, it goes even farther than that. Alright, you can slightly angle it as well, and it has some kill power behind it. It deals quite a bit of damage, as you can see, and like I mentioned earlier, at higher percents, this thing becomes a scary tool. And the fun thing is that when you turn around your arrows like this, it delays the shot as much as possible. So you can always force your opponent to think you're about to fire it and then delay it a little bit. And then when they air dodge or whatever, especially off stage, right, where they're kind of scared to get hit by it, they're going to air dodge, you're delaying it, boom. Then they get hit, they get sniped, and they lose their stock. So in terms of stage control, it's really good. In terms of conditioning, it's really good. And hey, it's pretty good at catching some stocks off stage. More so if they're recovering high mid, but still that's really good, especially for the distance it covers. You can angle it, but only slightly. So again, at least it's a benefit nonetheless, right? That's great to have, right? That's always great to have. All right, so we'll cover their side Bs in a little bit. There's a little bit more I want to talk about, being their normals. In terms of normals, Pit and Dark Pit have really good ones after the Min buff, I believe it was. Essentially, they can now combo off of things like down tilt better, up tilt especially got a huge buff. Up air is now a much better juggling tool. All right, it's very good, and it kills. I believe there are even kill confirms from up tilt to up air, especially on plats where it could kill like 80 to 100. All right, around that area. Pretty good, I'd say, right? You'd agree with me, that's pretty good. Not to mention, they're pretty fast on the ground. All right, I mean, decently fast on the ground. All right, before someone comes into my comments saying, well, you know, Sab, they're not the top 3 fastest runners, right? They're not Fox, Falcon, and Little Mac in that order. All right, what are you talking about? Shut up, leave me alone. When I say they're fast on the ground, I don't necessarily mean in terms of data. I just mean they get to side at a reasonable pace. Anyways, that's just a little mini rant. Regardless, they can move, all right? They can move, they can groove, and obviously, like I mentioned earlier, because you already have moves that basically condition your opponent to do, you know, a couple of air dodges, throw out a couple moves, whatever the case may be. You can always capitalize, right, with a grab and get some, you know, get some damage off of there, or, you know, your tilts, right? That's nice. That's great. Fun fact, did you know that their forward throw is a kill throw? So not only do they have a combo throw, they have a kill throw. All right, mostly 120, 130 should do the trick. But even still, you know, even though that's a highish percent, having a kill throw, especially it being your forward throw, really good. Because if, say, your opponent does a neutral get up, you can always grab them and forward throw them. It's much more reliable than just going like this and going for a back throw than being here and catching them like that, right? Forward throws, in my opinion, especially ones that kill, are just so much better than back throws that kill. That's my personal take. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that in the comments below. But regardless, you have a combo throw, you have a kill throw. And I believe up air is also a combo throw in some instances. So, overall, pretty good, right? Let's talk about side B also. Side B, it's really good for catching people off guard. It's mainly, how do I say? Most people use it for recovery. It does have armor, but there are ways to exploit it. So, great neutral, combos, damage, really great edge guarding, honestly. Obviously, these characters have weaknesses. However, you know, I don't think that, despite the few weaknesses they do have, typically sometimes it is range, because even though they have disjoints, they're not the biggest disjoints, right? They're not like, say, a Crom sword or a hero sword, right? Like these are pretty good, but they're, you know, these seem good, but some of their hitboxes are really whack. Like Fair, I mentioned earlier, you know, that hit, but sometimes, like, it really doesn't. It doesn't even cover the full blade, last I checked. You know, some of their hitboxes can be a bit whack. You can kind of exploit that. You know, you can always, you know, even though hits, if they're smart, they'll condition you to do things. If they make any sort of mistake, you can hard punish them for it. With side B, for instance, you know, you obviously go through a lot of lag, and if you're caught, then you're caught. They're also relatively easy to combo-ish. So, yeah, they do have some weaknesses. But overall, I would still say they're a really good character, right? Especially because you have, you know, amazing projectile, an amazing grab, pretty okay disjoints, pretty good speed, pretty good edge guarding, and not a bad recovery. Overall, oh, and you have your cheat move in guarding orbitars, right? This is your cheating move. All right, that's your cheating move. All right, when you play these characters, this move cheats for you. It cheats for you. All right, tired of losing? Haha. Yeah, let them know. So there you go. If you ever wanted to know about that. With that all being said, that's basically it for what I have to say. I mean, I guess we could end with who do I think is better between the two pits. Me personally, I prefer Dark Pit. I believe, this is what I believe. I believe having a strong neutral is really, really important. And considering that they already have really strong edge guarding, I don't really think I need Pit's arrows to do edge guarding for me. Sure, I guess you could argue it's safer with Pit than it is a Dark Pit, because with Dark Pit you still have to go off stage, with Pit you don't. But overall, I'd much rather rely on doing, you know, throwing out arrows and then forcing them to recover low, and then I make it back for free. However, there is a caveat with that, because side B, even though it sends away, I'd much rather have a move that sends upward, because having a move that sends up means that no matter whatever direction they're going, or no matter where in the stage they are, as long as I hit them, they're going up. Alright, I guess I should have mentioned that move does have heavy armor, but I don't know what type of heavy armor. Though I do want to cover those terms in a different video, maybe sometime in the near future. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I think, like I said, me personally, I would go with Dark Pit, but ultimately it's up to preference. If you would like more information on what I mean, I'd suggest checking out my Why Chrom and Dark Pit are the perfect examples of clones video, as I basically go over why I personally believe that Dark Pit and Pit work so well together and coexist so well with each other. I think, me personally, best two echoes, like some of the best examples of clones are right here, along with Chrom. But again, I suggest watching the video. And with that all being said, I hope that you enjoyed this analysis. Again, as with previous analyses, if I'm ever wrong or right, or whatever the case may be, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. Tell me, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is there any more knowledge you wish to spread? Tell in the comments, and let's just have a nice discussion. Alright, let's try getting to 1,000 subs. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Peace.
I'm coming through, partner, we can do this right. You're the fire, I'm the wind tonight. Burning dread, haha, that's right.